Greetings, sailors, and welcome to a bit of live play. Along with many people in the last, day and a bit at this point, have discovered a whole new, fresh vein of generalized anxiety in their lives due to current world events. And so, the idea of corralling my thoughts and trying to sit down and do a more constructed gameplay commentary on a replay, I don't think that's really going to fly right now. I have very well made my feelings about the situation known on Twitter, and not to belabor a point, but my thoughts, as I'm sure are the thoughts of a lot of people, are with the people of Ukraine right now, and also the people of Russia, because this very much seems to be Putin's war. He does seem to have slightly gone off the plot a bit. He's gone off-piste, to use a skiing analogy. Anyway, however, let us not all be doom and gloom. I mean, there's plenty of that. I generally speaking, try to keep that sort of stuff out of the channel, because this is primarily a gaming channel, and so I am today going to attempt to do some gaming, however that might go. And I've decided that I'm going to take the Marlborough out for a spin, the dockyard ship, because I kind of haven't really talked about it up until this point. It's had plenty of coverage elsewhere, of course. You're probably well aware at this point just what it is and what it's capable of, but just in case you aren't, it's kind of the British Leon, in that it's got an awful lot of guns, and they are quite low caliber for the tier, but the turret arrangement is a lot less awkward than the Leon is or has, so it's definitely more usable in that regard. Probably one of the more notable things to point out is that although these are the same British 14-inch guns that you find on KGV and the Duke of York, they don't actually have quite the same shell characteristics. They nerfed the fire chance a bit, but it's still a 24% fire chance. And I'll just refresh myself what it is with the... At least I think it's nerfed. I seem to remember reading that at the time. Oh, yeah. There we go. 41% fire chance on the KGV. So, yeah, they toned that down a bit to something that's a bit more in line with, the Lion is like similarly 40%, but it's a bit more in line with the smaller caliber guns of other nations. So even the 15-inch guns, which aren't particularly noted for their high fire chance, like those are fairly average. 24% is kind of on the low side for a battleship generally, but it makes up for it just with sheer number of guns, and because you are using a smaller caliber of gun, there are times when you're going to have to utilize that high explosive. It's one of those things where, if everybody just used these things in moderation and at the appropriate times, then I don't think people would really have an issue. There wouldn't be all the memes of HE spamming battleships that do exist. But there are certain segments who will only use the high explosive regardless of circumstances, and jolly irritating it is too. But it was almost a relief to see that they had brought the high explosive down to a reasonable level, because that many barrels, that weight of shot with the fire chance of the KGV would have been a little bit nightmarish for everybody else. I think you still do get the extra penetration of British HE, but yeah. Or am I thinking of Germans when I say extra penetration? No, I'm sure that the British battleship HE shells get extra pen. I'm sure they do. Anyway, looks like we've found ourselves a battle. I'm recording this in the morning, so yeah, I wasn't sure quite how many people would be playing at the moment, but here we are. It's found us a tier 10 match and a couple of very unlucky tier 8s in the mix. Quite a few battleships and a carrier on each side, because that's always fun. There was a recent topic actually on Reddit about well, it was somebody feeling that battleships were getting squeezed out, especially at higher tiers, and it's something we'll probably talk about on the podcast this evening when we record that. But yeah, it's something I don't know if it's true all the time, but yeah, the squashier cruisers are maybe having a much harder time of it than they used to, just with the sheer amount of bigger guns that they now face. I mean, wargaming seems to now want high tier battleships to have just bigger guns generally, and stuff at high tiers with smaller guns is you know, like this, it is an oddity, and the replacement of the GK with the Preußen with its 457 mils, yeah, that's kind of more in line with what's been happening generally. There are other ships that don't have huge guns. I mean, the Republique is a fine example, but that's still like there's still a fair amount of hitting power in the Republique, and it's got some fairly nasty HE itself, and also quite a quick reload. But this also has quite a quick reload. I mean, it's what, 22 seconds, and you have as many shells fore and aft, you know, just in those firing angles, as some of the ships you're meeting have in their entire broadside kind of thing. I mean, the Preußen, which I've just mentioned, you know, only has 8 barrels, so yeah, but they are 8 rather large barrels. Anyway, generally speaking, as I'm sure would be fairly evident to most people, you want to go for the broadside targets when you've got these smaller calibers. If you're dealing with angle targets, that's when it's more prudent to use the high explosive. Like that Jean Bart's not a particularly attractive target right now, but we'll try and hit their superstructure anyway, just because that's where I have the angle on my rear guns. I had some okay games in the Marlborough so far. I have played it a bit, but nothing that was replay worthy in of itself. And I mean, it is basically just a turbo KGV. And the KGV itself is still, I don't know if it's quite regarded as the terror of tier 7 as it once was, but it's still a very dangerous opponent. It's one of the ships I least like to face off against at tier 7, just because it has that ultra powerful high explosive at its disposal. And you know, you give people a really powerful tool like that, then they are going to use it over and over. Every problem will look like a bundle of kindling, I guess, to butcher the analogy about every problem looking like a nail when you have a hammer. So yeah, oh hello Marceau. That's on sale at the moment, and my word, the prices. Yeah, I mean, these prices they're putting on these the ships. What was it, the Marceau and something else? Yeah, they're a bit. The top tier package is like 50k doubloons, which is a bit rich. That's full on whale gouging pricing. And although I think things overall have been going a bit better with Warships, I'm certainly a bit more comfortable making Warships content now than I have been in the last say couple of months. I think the communication and the progress we've had from wargaming has been on the whole positive, you know, we still have the eye-watering prices such as that occurring, which is not exactly to be lauded. I'm doing not too badly so far. I want to watch my positioning here though. I'm not entirely sure what these enemies are doing. It's a bit of a stalemate so far. Not really had any need to reach for the high explosive. They do have a Ragnar over here. And so the main torpedo threat, the Jutland, is over on the other flank, so I don't have to worry about that so much. But the Might still has torps, and what else do they have here? I think that's it. Our Republic has taken a fair old battering though, as has the Chapayev. This GK is still full health, and I'm still in fairly fine fettle as well. Let's maybe try pushing around this way a little bit. I don't want to push face first into them. Oh, hello, Ragnar. I wonder if it's worth, if I can get high explosive loaded. Nope, I managed to miss. It definitely has a bit of that shotgun quality, but that's the price you're going to pay for having this many barrels. And you know, it's, I don't know if we can quite count it as a trend, but we have at least one other upcoming battleship that's going to have 16 barrels as well, so I imagine that also will be a bit of a shotgun. Right, there's a little bit of damage, that's not too bad. So I'm going to get some attention from over that side, which is not surprising. Oh, hello. There's the Mites. I do have Andrew Cunningham on this. It's I didn't show you the captain build, but it's a pretty standard build. I don't think... if I got a Witherer somehow, I think that would obviously be useful, because that's almost an incentive to shoot HE with your British battleships, is Witherer gives you a 10% reload boost. But at least I hope I'm right in saying that. I'm pretty sure Ragnar doesn't get torp. That's a gunboat only one, right? But yeah, the one thing that is much more likely to be useful is an extra heal from getting a pair of kills. Right, there's the Jean Bart, there's the mosque for... I don't want to push out face first into all these people, but now that they're manoeuvring around to our south a bit. Nice! There we go.
Fire!
Double citadel to the mosque. We're actually getting some decent damage here, so that Jean Bart's now fairly isolated. The Ragnar is just running the hell away. Jean Bart's got themselves in a position where they can't. They have shots there, so if I can get another kill, that's a freebie heal, which is quite nice. Not quite as powerful as what's his face's skill, where you just get the freebie heal when you're low health automatically. You actually have to work for your free heal, but it's still a very, very useful commander skill to get a free heal.
Enemy destroyer detected.
Right, he is obviously trying to make a getaway, that's fine. Republic has managed to heal a fair bit. We can start putting some pressure on the other side. Because, yeah, we kind of need to. They've all died. The other flank is just dead. And we've lost more ships than they have, and our destroyers in the process.
Fire.
Which is a bit of a pity. Right, let's turn our attention. Oh, hello, carrier. Probably going to accelerate.
Enemy battleship detected.
Oh, that's not nice. Their Republic is literally full health. Might have to try turning north here. Probably not going to get unspotted, but I kind of don't want to be sailing along broadside to the Republic, especially as I don't actually have the range, and they do.
Problem solved, sir.
So I want to reposition myself a bit. Damage-wise, this has gone alright though. Pity I couldn't get the kill on that mites, that would have been useful. So we can do a bit of damage to this Jutland. Alas, no. Oh, one hit there, fire. Right, the GK, I would not have pressed forward as that GK is pressing forwards. I don't think that was a great plan, to be honest. Given that the rest of them are only just coming round the island. But hopefully I'm pulling some attention away from them. Of course, with there being carriers in play, the FDR is just going to be focusing them fairly hard. But I'm not too worried about a Johan de Witt, to be honest. The Dutch cruisers are not super strong. You might get a fire going, but they don't particularly have the rate of fire or the fire chance to be an opponent to be particularly worried about. Are you reversing? Yes. Or are you just kind of holding position? Yeah, you're reversing a bit. Right, let's make the turn now. Yeah, the GKs tried to make a turn around to get away, but that was just... That full health Republic's going to be a problem. That absolutely is going to be a problem. I'm not quite sure how they've managed to remain completely full health, but yeah. Might be the Jutland, not sure.
Fire!
Yeah, there goes the GK. I wish our midway was a bit closer to the action. If he'd moved up to this line, he could have a much shorter turnaround on his ships right now. And as a lone target, yes, I'm sure I'm very tempted for that FDR. My team's about to come back at least. Maybe I should switch to HE here. Man, that extra heal from the mites would have been super useful, but oh well. Damage-wise, this is not spectacular, but I can't say I'm displeased. See how midway having a go at the Johan de Witt as their most isolated target. Well, the Dutch cruisers do have pretty decent AA overall.
Fire!
I mean, the December Provincienne, gun power-wise, is not the most impressive, but it does have among the best cruiser AA at tier 7. Oh, double fire. I wonder if it's worth trying to get in the cap. It is fairly close points-wise. Alright, well, we can survive this fire, but it might be prudent to let it burn out before I show my face again and also get my guns rotated around. Okay, the Jutland's there. I don't particularly fancy facing a Republic. I mean, he's lost some health, but you know, he's got as much health now as I do when I'm full health, kind of thing. Right, I'm kind of annoyed that Johan de Witt was able to make a getaway. That wasn't really in my control, though.
Fire!
Jutland smoke's surely got to be running out soon. Oh, he's actually running north. That's a bit sneaky.
Problem solved, sir.
I would love to turn in and try and get the hand of it, but I am horribly aware that Jutland is somewhere ahead of me. Right ahead of me, in fact. There was a hit. Ouch! Oh, that was a nasty heavy strike from the divot.
Fire.
Yeah, I'm probably going to die here. There's not a lot I can do. My shell's off though. And they didn't actually hit anything. Oh well, right, that wasn't a terrible performance, I think. But yeah. There wasn't really any way to counter that, like our destroyers. Well, we had the Marcel on this flank, that's not a sneaky destroyer. No idea what happened to the Kitakaze. And the FDR, despite its nerfs, you know, it's still a carrier, and that one's managed 3 kills. And our other flank just seemed to really, like, they literally had a completely full health Republic left over. So, yeah, still a reasonably close fight. I really wish I could have killed that Johann de Witt. It's just kind of unlucky I wasn't able to, but smaller caliber shells, you know, you're not going to have the punch if they're not showing broadside. You really need those broadside hits like I got on the Moskva for that, that weight of shot to be significant. Otherwise you're just chipping away at their health, even if you're trying to fire HE. I don't think this midway is going to kill them with that strike. Yeah. Oh well. If the Jutland hadn't still been in play, I think I would have had a much better chance there, although that hit from the hand of it was nasty. And I kind of don't blame our Deuxième Provincienne for playing it cautious, because it's not exactly, like, it's a light cruiser. Doesn't have a lot of armour, and it's bottom tier. I mean, versus a Republic, yeah, it's really only going to go one way. So that's it for that game. Nothing spectacular, fairly hard fought. If I'd ploughed in along with the GK face first, would that have changed the outcome? I don't know. I think I would have just died quicker, to be honest. Still managed to be top of the team. Okay. That GK was actually second place. Managed, it's just a flesh wound. The Kitakaze must have died really early on. They must have just rushed in and been obliterated. I wasn't paying attention that much. I mean, we can say the same for the enemy Missouri, I suppose. We definitely know which carrier had the more impact, though. Anyway, let's do another one. I typically do 2 matches when I'm doing these live games, so yeah, let's give it another go. So, another tier 10 game, another carrier game, yay! At least it's tier 8 carriers this time, so that's slightly less scary. I think it's the same number of tier 8s as... Oh, actually no, with the carriers it's 1 more tier 8 than last time. It's more of a mix of tier 9s and tier 10s this time. More destroyers and even fewer cruisers. But both of those are fairly tough cruisers. I mean, the Venezia definitely more than the Hindenburg, but still, if I can catch either of them broadside with this many guns, it ought to be painful, at least in theory. Although even with citadels, because these are smaller caliber, it's like 10k a pop. So yeah, one citadel is still less impactful than if these were 15 or 16 inch guns or bigger. Anyway, let's see what we see first. This is Shards. Both of these have been domination games, which is quite nice. I'm generally not a big fan of standard games. They can be, on some maps, more, let's say, more liberating if you're in a destroyer. It gives you more freedom to choose what you're going to do, whereas in the domination game, obviously, it's all very much played around the cap circles. Those are the areas you have to control. So it kind of circumscribes your actions a bit. But even then, sometimes I mean, it depends on the player. Sometimes people still make very silly choices. There was a game I had earlier in the week where it was someone. It stuck out because it was someone in the Delny, and I don't like. It was like they were playing in a tier 4 or a tier 5 match. They basically skirted the border the entire game. This was one of our 2 top tier destroyers, and they skirted the border the entire game and attempted to chase down the enemy CV. But the enemy CV knew they were coming and had them spotted for a really good portion of what they were attempting to do. And the only good point about it was that it was distracting the enemy CV, and that they were trying to go after the Delny rather than any other teammate. But they would have been... Oh, okay. They would have been far better off basically doing anything other than what they were doing, and ended up chasing the CV right into a nest of enemy ships, which they knew were there, but they did it anyway, and inevitably then just got trashed by, I can't even remember what it was, but it was a combination of gunfire from battleships and cruisers. So yeah, it was somebody playing like they were in a tier 4 match, and it really was just like one of our tier 10 destroyers doing that and just wasting everyone's time so much ended up having a pretty bad effect on our chances overall. Right, I'm hoping I can make this turn before I get too close, before I get hit too hard. That Savetsky Sawyer's armour proving to be moderately annoying, and now that I've loaded the HE just for them, I no longer have a shot, so yay. If you can hear the nonsense cat doing things in the background, it's because he's got his little World of Tanks USB stick that he's playing with. Ooh, right, there's one downside of it being Shikaku, is those AP dive bombers can do a bit of a mess of damage. Potentially. Right, let's go back to AP shells. Well, we have the cap for now. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to... we probably don't want to push this too much, but this is not bad overall. Kagera and Yugamo running into each other, but the Jutland is right there as well. Just about at the limit of my range. It's not got a fantastic range, but it's workable. Right, well, we lost our Kagero, but that's their Yugamo out of commission. They've lost the Venezia already as well, somehow. I'm guessing that's what that Marlborough was there. They must have just eaten a full broadside and not thought to use a smoke. I mean, I can kind of semi-understand it in that you never want to blow your smoke too early, but sometimes you need to. And, yeah, clearly they didn't. But that maybe needed a little more lead. 2 ricochets. Spectacular.
Enemy battleship detected.
Unless he's getting a bit of pressure at the moment. Mustn't forget that Savetsky Soyuz is up there. See if those do... No, those didn't really do much. Definitely a less good start so far, but don't quite have the angles. Yeah, they've backed off a bit, the Bismarck and the Montana. It's just the Savetsky Soyuz that's trying to push. Oh, hello, Shikaku. No camouflage. Oh
Enemy
dear.
cruiser detected.
I think that was possibly not a wise move.
Enemy destroyer
Who
detected.
stepped on the brakes just as I put my shells out? Oh, he's going forwards again a little bit. Some of these should hit. Oh, I got the kill. Nice. Double sit.
The aircraft carrier Sour team has taken the lead.
Well, that's a boon. And also, you know, satisfying. It's always satisfying to take out an enemy carrier, but yeah, in terms of like vision control and the rest of it, that's obviously really, really useful. Right. I think we might be winning this one. I think this is going to be a bit of a scramble for damage, to be honest. This enemy team is resembling a pack of headless chickens right now. I think we'd have to throw this fairly hard. Downside of doing these kind of live anything is, yeah, you don't get the curated. Well, the upside and the downside is it's not any kind of curated experience. What can happen is the usual random battle experience, which is obviously, you know, more faithful, but at the same time the matches can be, you know, rather less entertaining and less good. I don't think I'm going to get anything like the damage in the last one. Look at this, we're well ahead on points. Oh dear, yeah, this enemy team is just absolutely collapsing. I might even be lucky to break 50k, to be honest. Time to be a bit more aggressive. See if I can pick up what I can pick up, because yeah, is that Bismarck just given up? Maybe. Even a stationary target.
Enemy destroyer detected.
Oh dear. No, no, he's firing. He's just sat stationary. It's just the level of Bismarck we're dealing with there. Right, given that this is Bowel, Montana, how explosive it is. See what that Hindi is up to. Sadly, I can't even launch the poor man's hydro, aka a fighter. Hindi's low health should get taken up by the Henri.
Enemy battleship sighted.
So we'll see how well my armour stacks up against Montana guns. Last 4 ships at this point. Oh, hello, Sovietsky Soyuz. Are you planning to blap me a broadside? This could be nasty. See, the Himmel, the Bismarck also have their guns trained on me. No, he doesn't have it, so it's the Bismarck or somebody else. Goes to Scotland. Right, he's fully focused on the Henri. This could be... Well, I mean, I say it could be nice, but that armour can be quite trollish. Oh, well, I landed the hits just as we hit... Did I break 50k? 63k. There we go. I beat my prediction. Yeah, that enemy team was not a challenge. Oh dear. Absolutely not a challenge at all. So yeah, Marlborough, it's not bad. It's, yeah, it's quite a decent dockyard ship. Some of them have felt unnecessarily gimped. Others have been okay. I think the general perception is and continues to be the dockyard ships are usually not that great, but that's not been universally true. And I think Marlborough is okay. There's not that much that is exciting about it. One thing I am disappointed that I haven't seen yet, and you know, I don't know if you remember this far back, but when Lyon came out, you had people doing Lyon divisions. I don't think we've yet had Marlborough divisions of 3 Marlboroughs hurling, what is it, 48 shells at a pop. So yeah, somebody somewhere needs to do that and then send a replay to myself or Jingles or somebody, because that might be amusing. Anyway, that's the Marlborough. The next one that's coming up, the Atlantico, should be a bit more amusing in that it's a weird throwback with almost essentially a mixed battery of guns. So yeah, we'll see what that's like in practice, but it's certainly more eye-catching than the Marlborough has been in terms of its design and its performance. So that's it for this live recording. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Hopefully you are safe and well wherever you are, and especially if you're in Ukraine. You can leave all the usual comments and whatnot down below, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.